Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Cancer Called. How will you answer? Today I have with me Miss Olaniyi Zainabu. And yes, I practiced that so that I didn't mess that up. And she looks proud of me. Miss Olaniyi comes from, originally I think you're from Cincinnati, but you currently reside in Charlotte, North Carolina, which I
Yeah.
actually enjoy that city. And
Oh,
yeah, I love Charlotte. I travel a lot. My watchers or my viewers, I should say, not watchers, but my viewers know that. And Miss Alani came to me by way of my friend Keisha, who I've known for many, many years. We were colleagues at Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield at the time. And as you know, Keisha was on one of our previous episodes where she is a bladder cancer survivor. Come to find out, Keisha's mother, Miss Alani, is also a cancer survivor and had CML, which is a version of leukemia. So let's just get right in it to get right into it. Sorry, Miss Alani, because
okay.
I'm excited about this one. I don't think I've ever had anyone with leukemia before that had to battle that, let alone beat it. So. Can you just start us off a little bit with how that came about, the year that you found out that happened, and kind of how do you push through that?
In 2009, I say it was like maybe mid-December. I was having a pain on my side, and I said, "Daggone it! I don't know if I got a bladder infection or a kidney infection. I probably need to drink more water." So I went to the doctor, and they took blood. They took urine, and the next day, they called me panicking, saying, "Oh my God, your white blood count is 60 something thousand, and you need to see an oncologist." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So I said, "Oh, okay." So I had to find an oncologist. Um, and I went probably in that next week. And they said, based on the results, that it was a form of leukemia, but they still would need to do, um, no, I take it back. It was New Year's Eve.
Hmm.
And they said, I went to them and they said, well, we need to do the thing where they
The
basically take,
biopsy? Is
yeah,
it?
the biopsy.
Okay. Yeah.
So I went to that and it was uh, New Year's Eve morning. And I had church that night. And I was like, while he's trying to get all the fluid out, and I'm going, "What are you doing back there?" And he said, "Well, because they had to take it out of my hip."
I was gonna say, what part of
And
the body was that? Yeah. Okay.
yeah. And I was like, are you finished?
You look like you was about to dance right there, like,
Like, so I go to church and I'm in pain because the area was still sore. So then maybe a couple of days later, they had me come in and he discussed the results and he told me that it confirmed that I had CML, which is a form of leukemia.
hmm.
Um, and he said, and I said, okay, and he's saying, well, this means blah, blah, blah. And, he was giving me some of the details and I said, okay. And he said, are you all right? And I said, yes. I said, because I have a lot of faith in God and I believe in healing.
And you,
Plus, what does it mean if what am I going to get upset for? Because if I get upset, it's not going to make it go away.
well, that's the truth.
And I said, and being in a negative frame of mind makes your body react differently. So they prescribed a medication called Gleevec, which is also called imatinib.
Okay.
And I started taking that, and my follow up was like maybe 3 weeks later. I went back in 3 weeks. It was as if nothing was ever in my body.
Isn't that amazing how that works?
I said,
Like, that's crazy.
so I take this medicine and it instantaneously, but I was like, no, God did that.
Yeah, I
I
feel you
said,
on
because
that.
there's a reason why I needed to go through the diagnosis to be a witness and a testimony for somebody that you can overcome anything just by believing, just by being positive and believing in God. Like, okay. So I still had to take the medication. I went like on my checkups like every month. And each time they did the fish test, and they kept saying, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. I said, okay. But I still had to take the Gleevec.
Right.
And it normally that medication is like $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
But I went through the pharmaceutical company that created it. And
Right.
I got patient
Manufacturer.
assistance. First, it was $20 a month. I said, that's fine. Then the
Yeah.
next time it was zero. So I stayed on it because they said, well, you still gonna have to be on this for the rest of your life because it can always come back. I said, okay. Then a few years after that, I began to notice some different things because I moved down here in 2012. The diagnosis is in 2010. So
2010.
I had gone back home, like in maybe to visit around Thanksgiving or something for 2012. And I had noticed that my complexion was a little different,
Really?
but yeah, it was lighter. And I said,
And you weren't doing none of them creams or nothing, so we know.
no. And I was like, and there, my sister was like, so what's up with you? Are you, and this is before I moved here. And my sister was like, so you trying to do the Michael Jackson thing? And I said, no. But I had noticed it, but I thought maybe it's just a discoloration from something. So when I went back to the doctor, he said, are you having any side effects at all? And I said, absolutely not. I said, my body hasn't done anything. And he said, what about your skin? And I said,
Wait a
you
minute.
know what? My skin is lighter, come to think of it.
A minute.
Less than 2% of African Americans who are on this medication, the melanin starts to fade away in a way. So I have, like, they used to call it the moon face because right here
Yeah.
was light and the rest of my skin was like a darker. And then he told me about an African family, dark skin.
Uh-huh.
The son had the same diagnosis and they put him on the medication and he was turning light skinned. So he said the parents were saying they're accusing him and he's doing voodoo or something like that.
My
And
goodness.
I said, no, it was the medicine because less than 2% affects African Americans. We don't have any other complications except that. So I said, oh, okay. I just dealt with it. I just meant that I had to mix two different foundations and keep
Right.
going.
So
So I
you
moved.
didn't, I don't mean to cut you out, but I want to make sure I catch that. So when you went home to Cincinnati and you said, your skin color was changing, had the cancer come back or it was just a side effect
No,
of the
it
medication?
was only a side effect of the chemo, and it was a pill. It was just a
Oh, it's a
little pill.
chemo pill. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I
I
said,
just took this little bitty pill. It was about
yeah.
like this. It was brown. No issues. I had no complications. It didn't make me sick I was never sick to my stomach. Never.
What a blessing. Because I don't have that. I just have fatigue with my chemo pill. That I take that for the rest of my life. So when I heard you say you were told to take that, did they consider you stage 4 when you have leukemia? And I asked for the viewers because they talk about all these different stages, right? But I went from stage 1 and then it came back and I was stage 4. So for you, did they give you a stage with leukemia or
No.
you said you have to take
Nope.
it for the rest of your life?
What he just said, because we don't want it to come back. Now, this was in 2010.
Yeah.
After I got down here, I
Yeah.
changed to I had to get another doctor.
Hmm.
And she kept me on the pill and she said, we're going to watch it. I'm going to still keep up with you. Every time I went, they're doing the fish test,
Hmm.
which is putting in more and more millions of cells. Nothing. So one day she says, you know, studies have shown that people are being successful who are being able to come off of the pill. And she said only because they didn't want it to ever come back. She said, but if you take it, if you do that, I need to see you like every month and everything else. And I said, if I stop and I have to see her every month, that's $125 copay,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm getting the medicine for free and it's not bothering me. I said, you know what? I'll just stay on the pill. And then we talked about it. And then in 2021, she
Mm-hmm.
said, nothing is changing. Your
That's a
BCR able, nothing's changing. Nothing is showing up. You're still doing great. So she said, let's just take a chance. And I said, by then, okay, that's fine. I'll go on and take it. So
yeah.
I said, well, she said, and you'll still have to come in. I said, that's no problem. Came off of it still. She said, I'm still have to check you. Well, by 2022, I was turning 65, which I meant getting the good Medicare,
Okay, and you
which,
looking real good. You
and
looking
I,
real good.
oh,
Let me just call
thank
that
you.
out.
Thank
Because
you.
some of these folks be looking decrepit. Let's just call that out.
Yeah.
And you're looking real good. We look the
Thank
same age. Like I'm 60. For you, a 65 and 22? This is crazy. This is crazy.
So I said, well, look, I got Medicare. Okay, I don't mind coming now because I only have to pay maybe $20.
Hmm.
So she says, okay, we're going to take you off. So I was coming every month. I don't mind paying $20. Nothing. Kept going. Nothing. So even then, after maybe at the beginning of last year in 2024, she said, you're doing so well. I'm going to move you to this. Let me just check you every 3 months. I said, well, that's fine.
Okay.
Every time I went, there was absolutely nothing. Now I've been off the pill since 2021. And when I went the other day, and my doctor's from India.
Hmm.
So I don't believe that she worships the same God I do. She said, you are a miracle. Nothing
Yeah,
has changed
for many people.
since
Yeah.
when you were diagnosed and after you started on the medicine. And I said, I know that God did that for me. I know he did because I could tell other people, like, look, I don't care what the diagnosis is. If you go into it with that negative attitude
Oh, yeah.
and, oh, I'm going to die and, oh, my hair is going to fall out. That's another thing. My hair nothing happened. Absolutely nothing. The only side effect I had was just that little bit of lightening in my skin, which I could deal with, but I never had anything.
Any
And when
symptoms?
I went the other day, she was amazed. She said,
I mean, you look
your
like you've never been
level,
touched. Yeah, you look like
huh?
you look like you've never been touched by it. And I want to touch up a little bit on that too. Is when you talk about leukemia, leukemia is a cancer. Is that the cancer of the blood?
Yes.
And you have,
That's what
but the
I'm
thing
saying.
that's running all through your body, like your entire body. And so to not just experience that, but live through that at the ease and the pace of your treatment. That is really kind of unheard of. Like, I got to be honest with you. Everybody that I talk to that has had leukemia, maybe not particularly on my show, but everybody that I've talked to that's had leukemia has gone through like some trials with this thing. Like, hurdles. They're jumping over things. They're changing medication. They're sick. They're laying down all the time. I'm like, well, it's the blood. Like it's your whole
Yeah.
body. So when your doctor says you are a miracle, you tell me you're a miracle. I wholeheartedly believe that, and it kind of makes my hair stand up, Olaniyi, because when I left corporate America, About 3 months later, they didn't see anything on my scan, and I'm supposed to be stage 4. Which I think it might be dormant in my body. I could believe that, kind of like chicken pox, right? But worse because it could kill you. But I think that it might lie dormant. But to go from seeing something in your lung to your point of they saw it, they biopsied it, they biopsied not my lung, but they biopsied the areas in my neck, in the
Mm,
lymphatic area that had the cancer, and they confirmed that it was cancer. To go to, we don't see anything. It's like it's never there. Scan is just as clear.
mhm.
And when people say, well, it's just a medicine, and I say, no, 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 no. And I mean, you believe what you want to believe, to my viewers, right? You believe what you want to believe. But I think for Miss Olaniyi and myself, that is the grace of God. So yes,
Yeah.
I think the medicine helps. I love my doctors, my team. I think if I had a different team, the outcome would have been completely different,
Mhm,
because I always talk about how you have to advocate for yourself, specifically being Black women in America.
mhm,
I feel like sometimes you can get put in a corner. And I felt that way about a friend that I lost recently who was on Medicaid, and she was from a different country, and she was a single mother. And when I brought up to her about immunotherapy, she had never heard this ever in her life. And she died from ovarian cancer that
mm.
she spread all over her body. So I'm sharing these things and really tapping into that because I want to know from you, because your ride was not as bumpy per se, and you had the mentality of, I have this, I can't change that, but I'm going to beat it, right? So riding that wave that you had, even though it wasn't like, a huge wave, did you ever throughout, your experience with cancer to this day, has your mental ever changed since that diagnosis?
It didn't. And what's interesting is even when my skin was changing, I never even told my family about it because I was like, why am I gonna?
So they
Because
didn't know you
everybody
had
doesn't
leukemia?
know. They didn't know until maybe a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
Because I was like, what what difference does it make for me to tell you? Because nothing is happening to me. I'm still the same person. I'm not having any side effects. There's nothing,
Yeah,
and to me, sometimes when you tell everybody doesn't look at it like I do.
right.
Now, I might be afraid of bugs. I might be afraid of
Yeah.
deer.
I'm
Like when I'm
terrified
getting,
of deer. I'm terrified.
that's what I'm saying.
I've never
But
heard anybody say that
deer,
I'm terrified. That's why I
oh
freaked
yeah.
out. Oh my
But
God.
think about it. I get out of my car and I'm like, oh shoot, okay, I'm gonna sit in the car. I'm gonna let them go, and then I'll get out my car. But here is something that could have changed my life forever,
Mhm.
and I didn't have any fear. I wasn't like mad at God and how, no, I didn't have all that. So when I finally did tell them, they were like, really? And I said, yeah. And I said, I'm an African drummer. So I drum with an organization that is a cancer organization, and
Mhm.
it's drumming for change. Every year they have a survivor day and we're drumming, and I'm one of the people that's proudly holding up my little fan saying that I am a 15-year survivor,
Amazing.
but it's never changed. And sometimes I don't even think about the fact that I am a survivor until somebody says something. I just don't think about it because I'm good,
Right.
and I know other people who have had cancer, and I think maybe you,
Mhm.
over and over. I know a lady from Cincinnati. She's had cancer 4 different times. She
Ooh.
had breast cancer. She's
Already
had
know.
different kinds of cancer.
Mhm.
But she is a testimony too, and I'll have to give you see if she'll be on your show
Oh, we would love that.
because I was like, how I would see her. She told her story on Facebook Live all the time.
Yeah,
We would see her when she was sick. We would see her when she had no hair, when she had lost all her hair.
right.
We saw her when her skin started turning almost like a black color. And it was like, she just go on the line.
I
She's
love
a
that.
minister. She said, I will proclaim the gospel. I'm going to talk about how good God is, regardless of what anybody else thinks. I know that God has kept me.
Absolutely.
But that's the way I am. It's not like, and when I talk about it now, people are like amazed, like,
I'm amazed. I didn't know all of that before we got on here. I thought you went through like the chemo, maybe radiation, or I was like, oh, this is gonna be lively here because it's in the blood. Like it's not on your arm or in your breast. It's through your whole body, right? So like how do you fix that? So to that point, do you feel, and I ask this of many people,
okay.
do you feel you ever had it?
It's funny you said that because my pastor at the time when I was in Cincinnati and I was talking to her and I said, it almost makes me wonder if I really ever did. I know I did because that's what the results say. But I believe that sometimes God will put us through something or the appearances of something because we have to show somebody else not only how great He is, but how you can believe in Him, believe in, some people say, positive energy, but you can't just always give in. If somebody gives you a diagnosis, you can't just automatically say, oh my God, I'm going to die. No, no, because you don't know that.
This is
And I just I just that's why I said I could go back, I could look at the blood results, I can see I think I saw something and it was like, I don't know, white blood count was like 63,000. It was something crazy.
right.
And then I said, how is it in 3 weeks, even if it was just the medicine? How in 3 weeks could it have completely almost like wiped it away?
He never was there.
And
Never.
that's what I'm saying. And I said, you know what? I'm going to continue. Just like now, it is not an inconvenience for me to go see my oncologist every
Right.
3 months.
Hmm.
But even when I would go to the doctor in Cincinnati, I'm coming in, I'm like, hey, everybody. And they were always like, your nails are fabulous. You're always changing your hair.
Fabulous.
And I said, because why am I going to come in here? Yes, I may not feel good all the time, but sometimes you have to push past that because if you give into it, then your body starts believing it.
I wholeheartedly believe that. That's what we talk about at Cancer Call
Yeah.
all the time is we don't just do the show or, the beads that we do, hope beads and the hope cloths. We don't just do that because I don't have anything else better to do, right? Because I'm sure I could find somewhere to travel, which I'm still going to travel. But we do these things as a symbol of hope, right? And to try to trigger something in the mind to help change
Mhm.
the mindset of those that may not handle it the way that you and I have handled it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't have bad days because let me tell you, mental health is real. I have never believed it more so than in the past than I do now, that it can rush in on you when you least expect it. And I find that dealing with cancer was harder or is harder after the treatment is done
Mm.
because of the mental health of it. Now, like you said, you came in, nails fabulous, hair fabulous. Hey y'all, how you doing? And I was the same way. I still am the same way when I see my treatment team, or my oncologist. I even gave him the nickname of C Daddy. So shout out to C Daddy. but his name is Dr. Curley. Brendan Curley, if you want to look him up in Arizona. But what I will say is the mental aspect can go, it can pivot left or to the right depending on the person, and
Yeah.
I'm finding that not many that I come across, so this is just my opinion, um, are of the positive mindset. A lot of people give up right when they hear the diagnosis, and that's why I'm bringing this up,
Right.
specifically in your episode of how you had that, and you were like, okay, and I, I got to go do what I got to do, and I still got things to do. I got to go to church. I have children. I have grandchildren. I don't have time.
Mm.
I don't have time for this, right? And I know everybody's going to handle that differently, but why not entertain maybe
Yeah.
handling it a different way than the norm?
And I'm one of those people, I believe just because someone says that it is true does not mean that it is.
Hmm.
Medicine, as they say, medicine is a practice.
Hmm.
I've seen other times. I have a friend that goes to church with me now. They had diagnosed him with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Okay.
He was going through cancer treatments, all that kind of stuff. He ended up for some reason going through another doctor. He almost died because I went to see him in the hospital, took him and his wife dinner. Found out that they said they had misdiagnosed him. So all this time he's been going through chemo and radiation, and he went from being strong to looking like this. So he's in the process, probably about going to maybe sue a lot of people. But it's just because someone says it, just because, and I believe in just because someone says you're ugly. You don't have to believe that. That's a person's opinion.
Hmm.
It's not founded in anything. And just because, and you can believe it all you want, or you can choose to say, "Oh, I'm beautiful. My mother said I was beautiful."
Right.
Which brings me to something else I did, because I didn't lose my hair, but I saw other women that were going through chemo who had lost their hair. They were and they were wearing wigs and everything else. I have a YouTube channel called Fabulously Bald,
Fabulously bald. I love it.
and I shaved off all my hair purposely. I
Wow.
said, if I'm going to support, in one girl that was going to church with me in Cincinnati, she would always wear wigs. She had to try to keep them on, and I said, girl, if you want to come to church without your wig, I will shave up all my hair and we'll both be bald in there.
That's
And
amazing.
she didn't believe and I would do it. I had no problem. And I had lots of hair.
Hmm.
Shaved it, no problem. And I said, you can walk bold and who because you're still beautiful. And I wanted women to feel good. The women who had lost their hair, not only, I say, by choice or circumstance. I know women who purposely have shaved their hair because they don't like hair, they didn't want
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
bothered. But then you had the ones with alopecia or who had lost hair due to chemo.
Hmm.
And I said everybody should feel beautiful regardless, because hair doesn't make you, is an accessory. You can take it off, you can put it back on, you can sew it, glue it, or you can just do without.
Where were you
And
my whole treatment?
um,
So where were you my whole treatment? Bless my husband. He always tells me I'm beautiful regardless of what state I'm in, whether I'm fat, skinny, sick, not sick. He always tells me I'm beautiful, and it does help. But we always battle with our own inner demons, right? Of believing in ourselves and believing what we see and not always what other people see. So I really commend you for being that bigger person and just a kind person to say, you know what, I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone to make someone else comfortable. And I believe that's another reason why God said for both of us, we have to stay here. because we're doing God's work. And I still think you're doing God's work just by being on, this YouTube with me. Somebody's going to see this, Miss Alani. Somebody's going to see this. Even if it's one person, it's going to make my heart happy because you're going to inspire somebody that even though I have it, whether I believe that it was there before, whether I believe in God or not, whether I want to take medicine or I don't, let me be clear. We're not medical professionals on, this episode or any episode that I do. We just like to bend the mind, get people to think differently and change how they're battling cancer. So I wanted to make that clear. And again, I want to thank
Yeah.
you for being the person that you are and the warrior that you are to beat that. But before we close out, I want to ask you about your purpose after cancer because I heard you talk a little bit about the drums, and I know that you do your podcast. But can you tell us not only how to find you and how to become involved, but how did you even get started in the drumming?
When I had never played drums ever in my life. And in 2017, my son was murdered. And I still have a different way of looking at things where a lot of people to this day, I don't even talk about it. So once this comes out, they'll know. I never was angry. Yes, I love my son. I did not want to lose my son. But in my heart and in my mind, I wasn't going to hate and want to get back at whoever had done it.
Hmm.
The young man who was accused of doing it, people wanted to go out and find him and they were going to shoot him and all that. But in the back of my mind, I kept saying, something's not right. Something is not right. It was somebody that my son knew, and I don't believe that he did it. So I'm going to grief counseling classes,
Mhm.
and everywhere I went, they're mad at God and they're still in this state of mind. I'm still praying. I'm like, you know what,
Mind
God?
again. There's that mind.
Right. I can't change what someone else did. I can just change my reaction. No, I didn't want my son to leave here. No, but found out the things that he had done, just like we never knew he was an organ donor until he was pronounced dead. And they told us, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
So it went on from there. I had gone to the doctor, my oncologist, and she said, I just don't think you're dealing with it. And I said, I'm dealing with it. I said, but I don't like those grief. I don't like those where no one is being positive. And when I tell my story of how I'm not hating him and how I'm not mad at God, she said, there's a drum circle that is through the hospital where I would go. And she said, maybe it might be something. Because I was like, I wasn't going to go start boxing because my nails are fabulous.
Hey.
I, I was afraid of guns because that's how he was killed. He
Mm.
was shot to death. And I said, no, I don't want to touch them. So she said, and you just need, it'll be something good to get out your stress. So I found out and I went to that first drum circle and I had never even touched a djembe. I beat that drum like it had stole something. And the guy was amazed. He said, are you sure you've never played? I was like, never.
Look at God,
To
though. Look at God.
But it was because all the frustration, all everything that I was holding in, I was beating on those drums. Fast forward to now, I'm one of the co-facilitators that teaches the drums with him to other people who are cancer survivors, cancer caregivers, friends of people with cancer. So it was like I'm turning into something positive because
Absolutely.
I know if I had decided that I was going to just just start using a gun just to because I was going to carry one, and if I saw somebody or whatever that I thought might be associated with that whole thing, I turned into a positive because I said
Imagine.
I have to keep not only my mental health together but my physical health. And I know that our minds can heal us. I know our minds can
That 100.
because it's been proven.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm still helping people with cancer because every day. And if you don't mind, there's part of a song that I sing when we drum.
Yes.
It is hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. And it's gonna be all right.
Ah, yeah.
When we drum, and
Love
sometimes
it.
he'll ask me to sing that because someone who's come and they're still going through cancer treatment and they're feeling bad and they're feeling defeated, and I'll just sing that to remind them, just hold on, you don't have to give in. I know it may be hard, you might have bad days, you might be tired, but just hold on, because whether you believe in anything, if you believe in yourself that you're not going to give in to that cancer, you can do it.
You can do it. And I just think that's so powerful. And even when you sung that, thank you. I hope that it comes through on our video the way, that I heard it. It may go in and out a little bit, but hold on just a little while longer. Everything is going to be all right. Takes me all the way back through the history and slave times. And I just feel like that was deeply rooted. And I can only imagine being in one of those classes, which I plan to attend. I come to Charlotte. Can you tell us the name of that group? So if anybody wants to reach out to join that, they can.
Sure, it's through Novant Health. It used to be the Buddy Kemp Center, but I think it's the Kemp Basant Center.
Okay.
It's at 242 South Colonial Avenue in Charlotte. We meet every first Thursday evening from 7 p.m. till about 9 p.m. And we use other instruments, we sing, there's a lot,
And so
and
that's
it's a release, and it's like, if you can't feel good about your journey, there's people who are still going through treatment, there's people who have survived it. There's one lady in there who lost a breast, who didn't know what to do, and she was like, I think I'm going to get a tattoo over it. I said, girl, I'll go with you.
see. I think
I'm going to support
you're
you.
just the whole being, Miss
But
Alani.
you know what? I am such an advocate for
Yes.
people when they're feeling lost or downtrodden, because I mean, I've had issues and times where I was sad. But you got to pull yourself back up, because if you don't, nobody else is going to do it for you.
Understood.
So,
Maybe
it's
I can
it's No Bond Health every first Thursday of the month.
so y'all got it. Y'all got it. And I think I'm gonna have to have you on for another episode because I got some topics that I would like your opinion on. Yeah.
Oh, no problem
So maybe we'll
whatsoever.
do some more episodes. But we're gonna go ahead and close out. I do want to ask you though, do you have any advice for anyone that's currently battling cancer or is a survivor when it comes to their mental health?
The advice is, first of all, know who you are and love yourself regardless. Regardless if you I remember when my daughter was going through it and she had the dark circles and she was losing her hair and she was losing weight. But you still have to surround yourself around positive things. You know, go to a park and swing on the swings, regardless if you might feel bad. Do something fun. Watch a cartoon, laugh, but you can't give up because once you give up, then the mind is going to try to follow you.
I believe that. And I think that's great advice. I'm definitely going to have you back on the show. So I want to thank you for coming to this episode of Cancer Call. How will you answer? Make sure you look up Miss Olaniyi. I'll give you some information when we drop this video as well. You can follow us on cancercalled.com. Of course, we're on all the platforms: TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So make sure you drop in and you drop us a line or two or 12. Until next time, see you guys later. Love you. Okay, bye.
Thank you.